memes are an excellent way to convey complex messages simply, as well as showcase and really lean into pain points that your target audience is experiencing.
Hello and welcome to episode 263 of the Smart Agents Podcast. As always, my name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. On today's episode, I'm joined by Aidan Brannigan, founder of No Boring Brands, a creative agency helping major B2B companies and SaaS brands grow through human-driven content. Aidan built one of the largest marketing meme pages online, and his team's campaigns reach over 1 million views a day across LinkedIn and Instagram. Throughout our conversation, we dive into how real estate agents can use memes, skits, and authentic humor to connect with clients, humanize their brands, and stand out in a crowded market. We also discuss how to find your unique voice, avoid common content pitfalls, and build consistency that drives long-term authority. But before we get on with the day's featured interview, if you or someone else on your team has an incredible story of real estate success or tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new guests to inspire our listeners. And lastly, if you enjoy this conversation and want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. We stream on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. All right, let's get on to our conversation with Aidan Brannigan. If you'd like to explore more of his work or learn about humor-based marketing strategies, be sure to check out the links in the episode description. Really, the way I like to do everything is have you introduce yourself to us a little bit. Tell us who you are and kind of a little bit about what you do.
So I'm Aidan Brannigan. And I am in the sphere of social and humor when it comes to social and marketing. So my agency, No Boring Brands, we do two things. We make memes and we make skits for typically B2B SaaS companies, but we do work with consumer-facing brands. I spent time in a B2B media company. I saw how boring B2B content was, and so I saw a gap to bring this humorous content to a boring market, but really just spend all my day thinking about how can we go viral in super niche markets.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, how did you get started in this, this kind of sector? Because it is, it's a little newer and, it's kind of one of those ones that I feel like sometimes you got to forge your own path to get to.
Yeah. So when I was a freshman in college is when COVID hit and school went online. I wasn't able to hang out with any of my boys. Life was very boring. So I started applying to startups and being like 18, 19 at the time. And the startups I was applying for and applying at were very small, like 10 people. They were just like, oh, you're young, run our social media, be a social media intern, help us go viral. And this was right at the time of like the GameStop, and crypto boom, like meme stocks were everything. Like meme culture was really taking off on socials. So I was making a lot of memes for the startups I was working at, and these were very niche. Like one of them was a vegan superfood bar company that you could eat the wrapper. Like insanely niche. The business ran out of money after 8 months, but it was a great experience. And that was my first foray into like building communities online. I think we had 50,000 followers, which at the time was like insane. Like I was like showing people the account on Instagram, like, look at this, they have 50,000 followers. This is sick. And I'm making the content. That slowly snowballed into being in college. Like I wanted to try different things to see what, just as much as wanting to see what I liked, I wanted to see what I didn't like. So I got internships at media companies. One was a sports media company in New York called Overtime, which I was super excited about because I love sports, and I got paid to, like as a college kid, 15 an hour was sick, and I got paid to write about Lamar Jackson. Like that was a dream. And then I worked at a more traditional marketing internship in downtown Baltimore, didn't like it as much, and then kind of landed at this other media company called Workweek, where they had a brand called the Marketing Millennials, and my job was to scale the online audience for the Marketing Millennials. It was at 250,000 when I joined, and our whole funnel for the business was memes, and we scaled it to 1.1 million followers within 2 years. And everything we did on social was meme based. And that kind of got me like, oh, there's an opportunity here with specifically when it comes to humor. But that's, the journey.
Awesome. So tell me, using humor for marketing, I think sometimes, businesses might be kind of afraid, to kind of go down that route. But, through the time that you've been doing that, I guess, tell me, what was it, how did you see that really kind of kick things off for you when you were building that brand for the marketing millennials, and kind of using humor as a whole, to kind of build up your brand.
Yeah. So like one delineation I make with any brand we work with, because most of the brands we work with are pretty buttoned up B2B companies. Everything they do when it comes to marketing is very sales and feature driven. And they're just trying to get conversions. I do. And so when I say we're going to use humor, they're like a little scared. So there's a very clear delineation. One route you can go is you can become the class clown. Your brand can become a joke. And in some industries that actually works, like Slim Jim, like the beef stick company, like on social media, they are just chaotic. Duolingo on social media, they're chaotic. It works for them. They're consumer facing, and it's not as much of a buttoned up product, and they can become the class clown. But if we're talking about Palo Alto Networks, which is a $100 billion cybersecurity company, they're targeting IT directors based in Iowa who manage a team of 80 people. Like, that guy does not want to interact with a Duolingo. So instead, we use humor to convey intelligence and signal understanding to your audience that, like, hey, we get your pain. Like, and so memes are an excellent way to convey complex messages simply, as well as showcase and really lean into pain points that your target audience is experiencing, and like create content that like rallies those people together. So like that's the delineation we make, and how we've really scaled the business and scaled people's desire, and like made them feel more secure investing in a service like this and wanting to use humor.
Right. Absolutely. And, speaking for real estate agents, I definitely is one of those ones, you don't want to be like the class clown, because you're trying to get people to trust you with their biggest assets, hugely stressful time in their life. So, don't necessarily want to be that class clown, or, using the Slim Jim. You don't need Macho Man coming out and, doing his thing. But by using humor to address those pain points, I think there's a huge opportunity for real estate agents, because I know as they're driving around doing showings, there's a million questions coming at them. Oh yeah. And those are all different things that they can start creating content on.
Like, even, so one of my best friend is a real estate agent. And like one thing I've sat down with him and like talked about, he's in the Tampa market. And one thing he does is with his signs for his showings, like he uses really witty copy on his signs. So like instead of like open house here, he's like free AC, and then like in parentheses, open house here or whatever. Just something that catches their eye. It's like free AC and cookies. Like, it's just something very simple, and you can see, oh, there's a human that made that. Okay. And it kind of humanizes the whole interaction between you and the real estate agent, that where it's like, okay, this guy's not trying to get one on me. He's not trying to pull a fast one on me. This is just a dude that like knows like this is a huge like risk that we're taking, but also like investment we're taking, and it's very stressful. But yeah, like if you look at people like Ryan Reynolds as well, when it comes to everything he does on social media, with his movies, with his companies, everything he does is humor led. He's one of the most liked people as far as like when it comes to entertainment. I don't know much about like personal life, I know, but like he's an excellent example.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the ads that in the companies that he's involved in. I think what makes his ads also stand out is like he talks to the camera, like he's almost like talking to you in a very, everything is very one-to-one connection based, it seems like.
Yeah, he's breaking through the fourth wall or the third wall. Yeah. I forget what they call it, but like you feel like he's speaking right at you, which is huge.
Yeah. When it comes to, and I love that idea of the open house signs, because that is definitely, in our neighborhood, every weekend when you drive into the entrance, there's 4 or 5 different open house signs, but I don't even look at them because they all look the same. But if there was something, that just said free AC, it's definitely going to make me stop and look at it.
Yeah. And at the very least, like if you're not even looking to buy a home, at least you saw that sign. And if you see the name of like whatever the real estate agent is like on that sign, you're going to remember it. And so maybe even like a year down the line when you're like, yo, I want to buy an investment property. What was that dude's name? Ryan? Like, oh, let me look him up. Like, that was a hilarious sign. He was very clever when it came to his messaging. So I'm assuming he's very clever at getting us the best deals. Like, I think it's a pretty smart. There's even real estate meme pages. Have you seen these on Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I forget what the biggest one is called, but it's like
There's broke agents. There's a couple other ones. I did a interview a
the
while
broke
back with,
agent.
yeah, broke
Yep.
agents is a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
one. And then Call the Damn Leads is another good company out there that does a lot of meme based marketing.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think it's phenomenal just like showing, like, I mean, they have 500,000 followers. I don't know if this is a brokerage. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're getting tons of leads from this and they're probably raking in, views, but also you've seen, there's a guy in Maryland, actually, like a younger kid, who does those funny, like house, like he shows a house on TikTok, but he like sprints through it.
Right.
Like that just cuts through the noise immediately. And even if you're not necessarily looking to buy a house right now, you're going to watch his videos because it's pretty absurd, but funny. But he also is like an expert, and you can tell. And it's like that blend and that balance. Like you don't want to crack a joke just for the sake of cracking a joke. But like he's very strategic about it. And, you know, when I want to buy a house in a few years, like I might see if I can work with that guy. So it's cool.
Yeah. Tell me about, when it comes to finding kind of like finding your voice in humor, and you're making sure that it is authentically still you, because I think a lot of people can kind of read through like, oh, this is like way scripted, or you just don't look like you're comfortable doing this.
Yeah. And like that is a big thing. Like if I were a real estate agent trying to incorporate some sort of humor, I wouldn't be looking outwardly of like, oh, what's Shane Gillis doing? Like how is he doing this? Or even that TikTok guy, how is he doing this? It's like, sit down, just when you're having conversations with your friends and family and everyone's laughing because you said something funny, how did you say it? What was the pacing? What topic did you say that joke about? And then bring that to social media. And like, you want to be doing things that come naturally to you when it comes to social media. Like, and humor's not for everyone. If you're not a funny person, but let's say you're an incredible public speaker, leaning into like, hey, all the times you do public speaking and post about that. And that's a way to increase your credibility. If you're just like not a funny person and you're forcing yourself to be funny, I would just say then like go a different route. But everyone's got like a little quirky side, some wit, and like there's ways you can practice it too. But I would just say like synthesize, sit down with yourself and be like, the moments I am most funny, what am I doing? Like in what way am I funny? And then how do you bring that to social media?
Yeah. When I think, because like those two different avenues that you guys really do, the skit based, humor, and then the meme based, if you're not comfortable being on camera and being that kind of the joking around, the meme route is so easy. Like,
Yes.
That's the way to go to
Yes.
get that stuff out on your social media channels.
Yeah. And like memes are the most, like right now on August 7th, 2025, are the most efficient piece of content to make. The time and effort required to make one piece versus the results and the potential ROI of that piece of content, it's so efficient. You can crank out a bunch of memes in a short amount of time. To script, film, edit, post a skit or a longer form like thought leadership, talking head style video, it's way more overhead, way more extensive, takes longer. Yes, they can pop off, but like memes are such a common format. People know how to consume them, which is huge. And people know what to do with them when they are faced with them in their timeline, which is huge. They know to share it with their friends. They know to like it, comment, be like, this is hilarious, put it on their story. So yeah, like you want to be creating content that like obviously is true to you. So if you don't feel comfortable on camera, don't force yourself to be on camera. Because one of the biggest growth hacks on social media is just straight up consistency. So you want to be optimizing for consistency when it comes to creating content online, whether it's for for any industry.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like people know what to do with memes, and it as they're scrolling, I can get the point of that meme within a second, whereas the video I might need to, a couple more seconds to kind of get into it and really see what it's all about.
Yeah. You need the hook. You need to frame it right. But they are very impactful and like they do work. But memes are just, it's like they're insane.
When kind of creating those memes, for real estate agents, if we're talking about creating those around all the different pain points, tell me about some of the tools or the hacks that you have for creating those in an efficient manner to where they can sit down maybe one morning a month and kind of crank out a whole month worth of content.
Yeah, so just some tools like CapCut is a great tool to find meme templates. So you can use their explore page and search meme templates, and there's like unlimited video meme templates. So that's CapCut. You can also edit videos on there, so you can make the memes on there as well. And then Canva is great if you want to do some more editing and make some static memes. And then Mematic is a tool. They have a bunch of meme templates on there. I don't really use Mematic too much anymore, but for someone just trying to get into memes, they have a huge library of memes that you can use of just like templates. So whether it's like Michael Scott saying something funny or like Timothy Chalamet doing something weird on the red carpet. So Mematic, CapCut, Canva, those are 3 tools to use. And then what I would do if I were a real estate agent and I'm trying to make memes and I'm trying to do it in a batch, list out every single pain point that your ideal customer is facing, and you want all of your memes to address those. Once you have all the pain points listed out and you can visually see it, it's like, I don't even know. Like, what would be like a huge pain point that like a real estate agent their ideal customer would be feeling? Like, what's
probably like, so maybe having to do a house showing, but you have like kids that you got to get out of the house, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be, all right. So that's actually a good point. So you wouldn't want to make your content about that. So that'd be a pain point that a real estate agent is feeling. Instead, let's say you're targeting like a Midwestern homeowner whose income is $125,000 and their budget for a house is $400,000 to $600,000. You want to be targeting that person's pain points. Yep. So what are they worried about? Are they worried about tornadoes? Like, is there a safe space in the basement? And like things like that, or dealing with real estate agents who don't communicate well. And so you make content about that. That's what I would be focused on, and just deliberately block off 60 to 90 minutes to do that. You want to get in a creative flow state, which usually takes 10 to 15 minutes. Like, turn off your Slack, turn off your email, turn off your Teams, turn off your iMessage, and just create content for 90 minutes. You could probably create a month's worth of content in 90 minutes, and there's a huge upside there.
Awesome. Kind of switching gears to the video production, the skit production. Tell me, how you guys have gone about doing that with, some of the clients that you've had, and, kind of building up that relationship with them to do those.
So our approach to skits is everything we make, we want it to be almost like the camera recording it is like a sneak peek into a conversation that the person shouldn't be seeing. So we want it to be as real as possible. Like someone just pulled up their phone in the middle of this meeting and started recording and people didn't know. So what we like to do a lot is Zoom style skits. So one of our clients is this company called Apollo, which is like an enterprise SaaS tool. So salesmen use it to qualify leads, enrich leads, send out email campaigns, SMS campaigns. Even some real estate agents might be using that, or similar softwares that are just specific to real estate agents. But basically, it's for salespeople. We will get a few of our creators on a Zoom call and script out like something where I'm recording it and I'm on the Zoom call. But the conversation being had on the Zoom call is like, you honestly can't tell, is this scripted? Is this a skit? Like, what's going on here? And so that's one route of skit content you can go. And then the other route, this company ClickUp is going the other route, where it's like high production shoots, almost like The Office, like style documentary, funny, tons of actors, like in-person shoots. We don't do that. Our wheelhouse is more of like, we're picking up the iPhone, everything we're recording with the iPhone. And so that we usually do it through Zoom calls. Have you seen those like Zoom call skits?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
They are interesting because it does hook you in. You do kind of, it makes you pause for a second because you are really like, what in the world? Like,
Yeah.
first of all, like who's recording this and putting it out, and then what is like what's coming next, and how awkward or is it going to get?
We did a skit, and this applies to like following up with leads just in any industry, and it was like reviewing our interns' cold email hooks.
Yeah.
And they just got progressively more insane. Like the third one was like, you remind me of Emily, just like her just like you, her favorite pastime was ignoring all my messages. Yeah. And then it culminates in the last one where his manager's like, he's reading it and he's like, okay, this is insane. This last one just says turn around. And then the intern's like, yeah, that one's got a really good open rate, but it's hard to do that at scale because I can only stalk so many prospects at once. And then the video just ends like that. And it's like, what? And you're like, this is insane. So that's the type of content we make where it's like, people are like, that could be real. And we want that. We want them to be like, that could be real. And that's hilarious. If it's real, it's hilarious. Even if it's not real, it's hilarious.
Right. Well, and I think, for real estate agents, the amount of like crazy stories and things like that I've heard of, like really just awkward moments at open houses or on showings. I mean, there's a whole library right there of, they could record, just them kind of chit chatting with, maybe somebody in their brokerage or something and kind of, cut off the end of that conversation to hook somebody in.
Yeah. It's like, humor is truth. So at its fundamental level, the funniest things are the truest of things. Yeah. They're just things that most people, like the majority of the population, haven't said out loud. And that's why when someone finally says it, there's that like, oh shit, like moment. Now, like it can be taken too far where it's like sometimes blunt honesty is a disguise as someone's insecurities. But like if you are just like saying the truth and saying the things that everyone is thinking, and bringing that out loud, like that is funny. So talking about the experiences that you've had that might be awkward with prospects, and framing it in a way that when prospects see your content, they're like, oh, he's so aware of those awkward things that happen with real estate agents. Of course, he's not going to be awkward with us. Yeah.
Tell me about, especially for our, our real estate audience, this kind of content creation, I think it's more for that brand awareness and getting your name out there rather than being like, okay, this video here particularly is going to help me get, this client or this particular home sold. Tell me about having that mindset and even how that's worked with some of the clients that you're working with.
Yeah. So like, there's obviously like the Ryan Serhants of the world, the Graham Steffens of the world, where these are humongous creators now. And yes, they do real estate, or at one point they did real estate, and now they're just full-time creators. Like if I were a small like real estate agent and just trying to use social media to have any sort of impact on their book of business, I would make every piece of content hyper specific about the location you're in, so that you can, the more niche you are with your content, the shorter the timeline it takes to become an authority piece in that niche. So my niche is humor. So the timeline for me to become an authority piece was way quicker than if my niche was just marketing in general. People aren't going to listen to a 24-year-old marketer over a marketer who's been working in marketing for 24 years. But when it comes to humor, and I only talk about humor, like the timeline to become an expert was way shorter. So if you're a real estate agent in Maryland, and let's say you only work with clients in Baltimore County, like make every piece of content hyper specific about Baltimore County. Not just your humor content too. It can be like a video of you like with your kids walking on a well-known trail in Baltimore County. Or like if you do a humor piece talking about how I-83 there's always traffic because they're always working on the roads. And oh my God, this neighborhood development off I-83 that everyone sees after work was built up so quick, making everything so narrow to the region that you service. Oftentimes people try and go broad and they just want to go viral. What you really want to be doing is going viral in your specific niche, which you can't put a number on necessarily. I like to say, like, when people think of going viral, they think of like 1 million views.
Right.
The way I view virality is, what's your total addressable market? So let's say you just work in one county in one state and there's only 50,000 potential buyers at one moment. Your total addressable market is 50,000. If you create a piece of content that gets 5,000 views, you have reached 10% of the entire market with one video. That is insanely viral. So that's the way I would view it as real estate agents, is like, how niche can I get so that I can quickly become an authority piece via social media in my region, and I become the go-to person that people want to buy homes with and from.
Yeah. And I really like, having that mindset of, creating that content for your market, and not thinking, because I think so many times people do get wrapped up in creating, social media content, and they look at that bottom line view thing, and it's like, that's not what this is all about. Like, that's our, somebody across the country could be watching this, and great, you might get a referral from it, but let's really focus on making something that our community members are going to share with each other, and my name is going to get out and amount around.
It's like I wouldn't necessarily say go this niche, but it's like thinking about it the way of like, how can you just become the go-to real estate agent in one town? And then quickly, all those people in that town are going to be talking about you. Like, how can just everyone in one town know who you are? Like, make that happen. Suddenly that snowballs into 2 towns, 3 towns, 4 towns, suddenly the county, then the state. And now you're running the state. You are the go-to real estate agent. You have to start small. But it's worth it for sure.
Yeah. Talk to me about, the specific platforms and how the approach changes for the specific platforms. And I think, for most agents, Instagram, I think, is really kind of like the main one for most agents. Facebook has been, and then, people are starting to get into TikTok, but I really, I think LinkedIn is also a good opportunity for agents to maybe not necessarily create, buyer relationships, but referrals from other professionals in the area.
Yeah. So I would say, like, I haven't done extensive research on like where people are using, like where the funnel is for people buying houses, like what channels. But for example, the guy in Maryland who does those funny TikTok videos showing houses, from the outside looking in, that content format is tailored and skews younger for sure. He's posting on TikTok, which skews younger for sure. So in my mind, he is going for, all right, that first time home buyer who is Gen Z, who will like this content. And so like, he's pretty locked in on that. Whereas like maybe Ryan Serhant, like he is going for like the dude who's got $50 million to blow in New York City. And that's different. He's posting on Instagram. He's posting himself on private jets in a Rolls Royce. That lifestyle he's signaling, those are the people I sell to as well. So I would identify who you want to be selling to, and create content specifically for them. And so LinkedIn skews a little bit older. So like, if you're looking for a 35 to 50-year-old buyer, they probably have more money to spend. And it's easier to cut through the noise on LinkedIn because there's way less competition, as opposed to TikTok. Instagram, I feel like that's just the classic bread and butter. Like, that skews, like, that's like the millennials and Gen Z are still on there. Another thing too, like, YouTube is the hardest social media platform to grow on. But unlike all other platforms, when you post a YouTube video, like, the shelf life of that content is way longer than TikTok, way longer. You post a TikTok, by the afternoon, that piece of content is like gone with the wind. You post a YouTube video a year from now, it could be getting you business. So it just comes down to identifying what type of buyer you want to be working with. And now I know that like kind of changes, and like sometimes you'll be working with a 25-year-old buying his first home with an FHA loan or whatever it may be. And then the next time you might be working with a couple who's buying their 8th investment property. But just from like a marketing fundamentals perspective, identifying your ideal customer is huge. Mm-hmm. And working from there to then create content is the best path.
Yeah. When it comes to, and a lot of the folks we talk to, and when it trying to get people to actually like start creating content, they get frustrated because it's, the perceived time investment, and it, it's taking a little while to kind of go. When you're working with companies, how do you, kind of talking about expectations for, okay, this type of content, there's a little bit of a ramp up. We need to kind of get your face out there. We kind of need to ramp up and have that consistency. So kind of using what you talk with the B2B customer and kind of applying that to, our audience, like what kind of a time frame should people really be realistic about looking for?
Yeah, I would say whatever in your mind you have a timeline of like, whatever your timeline is of when you expect to see results, double it. So like, I would say if you create content consistently, I'm a maniac. I post content every single day of the week, and that's what I'd recommend people to do. But once again, I'm a single 24-year-old. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. So like I have a little bit more free time just in general, so I can afford to post every single day. But if you're posting consistently, let's say 4 times a week, minimum 3 months, like you shouldn't even be looking at how your content is performing too specifically within the first 3 months. Like you shouldn't be worried about like anything in that first 3 months. The first 3 months are just, how can I just build a system for myself where I do not miss a posting day? And then from months 3 to 9 is when like, all right, let's learn like what content formats are hitting. But like, I like to view content creation selfishly. Yes, you want to make content for your audience and your ideal customer, but at the same time, you need to be creating content that's also filling up your bucket because you want to incentivize yourself to show up consistently. So every piece of content I create is a format that I love creating. Yes, it's for my ideal customer, but I freaking love making skits. I love making memes. I love writing like short, punchy copy posts. So you need to find a content format that fills your bucket up where it's like you don't dread making it, and pairing that like with content that speaks to your ICP is where the consistency just becomes like natural. So when we work with clients, our trials are 3 months. So we don't sign anything that's less than 3 months because organic content takes at minimum 3 months to really start to see the results you'd like.
Yeah, definitely. And I love that, how you make the content that you want to, that you find joy in making, because it can be a grind. Like there's some days where I'm like, man, I got to bang out like 8 videos to make sure that I have next week's stuff posted because I got other projects I got to do. And, as long as it's something you enjoy doing, it's not too much of a slog. Yeah.
And like, now if you've never made content before, none of it's going to feel natural to you at first. Right. So what you will probably have to do is block off deliberate time throughout the week where you're just creating content, and then just building that muscle of being creative and creating that content and getting creative flow state.
One thing I want to ask you, especially, specifically when it comes to creating content, based on humor, what are some of those things that you would advise people to avoid so they don't alienate their viewers?
Yeah. So you never want to punch down. So like you never want to make fun of someone in the moment that cannot defend themselves. I always say avoid politics, avoid religion. And like if you just do those 3 things, like don't punch down and avoid politics, avoid religion, it is really hard to get canceled. It's really hard to piss people off. And in the event that you do, and like let's say you do something, you misstep, your ideal customer is pissed off at you. Or actually, let's say people are pissed off at you. If they're not your ideal customer, then who cares? So if there's a group of people mad at you and they weren't going to buy from you in the first place, it does not impact you at all. As long as your ideal customer is still perfectly happy with you and wants to work with you, great. But if your ideal customer is ticked off at you, that's bad. And so what you need to do, and what I'd recommend doing, which is what American Eagle did with the Sydney Sweeney campaign, is you don't say, oh my God, so sorry, take it down, rush, panic, and be like, oh my God, like, please forgive us. That's weak. That's a weak move. And your ability to build trust with an audience will break. What you need to do is, hey, in the moment, we meant what we said. Just like with our product, our service, and how we work with our clients, we take your feedback in with that. We're also now taking your feedback when it comes to our messaging as a brand. So thank you for your feedback. We meant what we said in the moment, but we will not be doing these things in the future. And you just leave it up and you just own the fact that like, hey, we misstepped. Sorry. And like just simple as that. That's how you handle everything. But there's also another viewpoint, like, and if someone's worried about getting canceled, and so that's the reason for not posting. And this is something my dad said to me is if you're worried about being canceled and that's the reason you're not doing something, you're already canceling yourself. But yeah, those are just some few things. And like, I have been, received backlash for things I've done. So I've learned these things the hard way, and I've gotten tons of hate. I've gotten people leaking my parents' address and sending me crazy pictures of where I live because of things I've done online. So take it from me. That's what I do if you're just starting to create content.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, even, just like kind of what your dad said, if you're afraid of being canceled, I think, even applying that to a real estate agent that maybe has never shown their humorous side or their personality because they're afraid of doing it.
Yep.
You're leaving that opportunity on the table if you never even tried it. You don't know what's going to connect with your audience.
Also, like, one of the fears that people have with creating content is being judged. And so it's like, I don't want to be judged by friends, family, whatever. So like when I started, I had that same feeling. But what I've done that has helped me tremendously is I create a divide on myself. There's my personal side of things and there's business side of things. I use social media exclusively for business. I do not talk about anything at a point too personal. Like, yes, sometimes I'll post a picture, like, and my sisters will be in it, my mom will be in it, whatever. And like, I might reference something my mom did, but I am not talking about like personal things. And what that does, that gives me the feeling of security that, yes, I'm putting my face out there, but like people just know me in a business context and not a personal context. So those very precious and vulnerable things that people like sometimes share on social media, that's not out there for me. So like, I don't feel exposed. And so that's one thing real estate agents can do if they're afraid of creating content. It's like, you don't have to talk about personal things. You don't have to talk about your kids. Like, you can just talk about business things. And that sometimes really helps people get over the hump. It's like, oh, like I can put this split. Personal things stay personal. Business things I talk about. Very simple, but it is really helpful frame of mind.
Yeah, definitely. Well, before we wrap up, tell me where people can kind of learn more about what you guys are doing, and kind of, just if they're wanting to learn more about creating this type of content, see some examples that you guys have done. Where can they find that?
Appreciate that. Nobornbrands.co is our website, but I post content on LinkedIn every single day. Aidan Brannigan, Aidan. And that's where they can follow me, or they can listen to, obviously, listen to this podcast, but I appreciate having me on. This is fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely, it's been really cool. My previous life, I was a video journalist, so everything was like super buttoned up and, everything had to be like perfectly lit and, everything had to be a certain way. And then when I got out of that and I realized like it's about the connection that you make with somebody online. It doesn't have to be the most perfectly lit. You don't have to have a $50,000 camera. Just do it and get on there and make that connection with that. And, talk to the one person in front of you.
Yep. That is huge. That's exactly right.
Awesome. I really do appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I really want to thank Aidan again for joining us today and sharing his insights on the power of humor in marketing. If you'd like to connect with Aidan or learn more about No Boring Brands, I've included links in the episode description. So once again, if you think you or someone else on your team has an incredible story or real estate tips to share with our community, send us a message to feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.